Hello, welcome to Monologues with God. We are showing off a new haircut. Maybe I had already, by the time this video sees the light, I already posted some shorts, some reels, and I wanna chat. I wanna chat with you guys in the Monologues with God with so many ideas. As usual, a stream of consciousness. The agenda for today, we're gonna talk about the haircut, we're gonna talk about cults, we're gonna talk about the experience with people in power, we're gonna talk about my book, my new ebook. You can go to my website, orianapaolaramirez.com, to acquire prayers and writings of a fairy in the light of God. And we're gonna talk about art, expression, queerness, polyamory, and a bit of everything. And I wouldn't have it any other way. And energy as well. And food, maybe. Just because green juice is asking to be drink. I'm a very sensitive person. I'm not sure if you guys knew that, or maybe you do, but I say the sensitivity part because it's taking me a while to understand how my sensitivity, the way my brain works, even for in spiritual concepts, even when approaching learning techniques, certifying myself in methodologies, in learning tantric breathing ways and practices, my level of sensitivity doesn't allow me to perform in a certain way. My capacity is way lower, and then I will always crash with that when encountering techniques and methodologies in the healing realm, in the healing world, in the wellness world, especially the spiritual world. That leads me to the cult. If you haven't heard, or maybe I have mentioned it lightly, I was on a cult, various cults. But when I say various, I think one I respect, because it's not a cult, but I felt it was very like, this is the pathway, nothing like this pathway. I understand where the person came, I understand the person brain at the time, but at the same time, for me, that's a no-no. I don't think there's one pathway. How? And the moment I have thought there's a pathway, the divine and God has made sure I'm like, baby, no, my love. There's more spice to this. Mind you, I've been in the, okay, this is the pathway for 3 months, and then something happens in a ceremony. I receive a download, a message, or like something in my body shifts, where I'm like, oh no, there's no one pathway. This person that I'm mentioning at some point claimed that what she had created and what she had written, that this is the pathway. I don't agree with it. She doesn't say it anymore though. But for me, in that moment, was a huge awakening in, Oriana, start thinking for yourself. Which I was, and at the same time, I wasn't. I was under the protection of those teachings, which I'm extremely grateful. Mind you, the business model is not cultish at all. There's sovereignty and freedom. And to be honest, I needed that structure. It is a structure. And to be honest, part of what she said, it is part truth. Same with Christ consciousness and Jesus is the pathway, the way, the truth. There are certain teachings that bring truth that you cannot fight, because there's a truth, a purity. Just like I'm saying about this. And mind you, we can get lost in words, but I understand what she said. But for me, in that point, it's like, I cannot agree with this. I understand the energy behind the words, and of course the words have power, so that's gonna create a reaction in me. And we came here to be each other's mirrors for our journey. And that expression of her saying this is the pathway, I was like, no, there has to be something else for me. By the grace of God, that happened, and it was medicine for me, because I then partake in an independent journey away from that, and my business model changed. You can go to my Substack where I talk about it. I talk about it on a piece that I wrote about art, about the medicine of art, and I touch about the business model that I used to have, and how that disintegrated when I started to make these choices of, okay, something here is not resonating. That leads me to the actual cult that I was in, where you were also invited to think for yourself, blah, 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 blah. But in this cult, they actually did messed up things. And it got really messy. And I think with the background that I grew up with of abuse, my neurodivergence, and the way my brain works, and my energy body, and my level of sensitivity and dissociation that I was used to, I will see the red flags, but I will stay. And that's a pattern that is taking me years and years and years to become aware of, and then beyond becoming aware of, practicing limits, coherence, because I knew something was off. Did I know the level of fucked upness, or like, okay, Oriana, you're in danger? No. And when I say danger, energetic danger, fucked up stuff, meaning they will implant things on you energetically. If you don't believe in this, forget about it. This is where I love my Christians, in the sense, like, I'm not a Christian, but Christians do believe a lot in spiritual warfare. I believe in spiritual warfare. Mind you, there is an aspect of deconstruction where I think is necessary. And then, again, what's your experience on this earth? What are you seeing? What are you seeing? Because it's gonna be unique to you. But on my experience, with my level of sensitivity, I'm not better than anybody, but I can perceive things. Not because I'm almighty powerful. No, it's just my level of sensitivity, which is why doing spiritual practices, tantric breathing, breath work, whatever, it takes a toll on me. I cannot do that often. Like, I can do it like 2 times a month. It is a problem, not an initiation, because if I'm doing a certification that you have to do these practices to complete it, it's gonna take me a while. But I don't care, because which is why I broke it off with the spirituality, with the new age, which is quote unquote new age, but these are millenary teachings that are coming back. I had to cut it and be like, high priestesses from Egypt, we know who we are. I form part of the thing, but I need a space, because I need to figure it out how God made me on this earth to be who I came here to be. And what a beautiful thing that is, because I need to look inside. Mind you, I have looked outside so much, and by the grace of God, thank God, I have looked outside. I have mentioned on this series of monologues with God, psychic videos, both prophetic words from Christians, and then other psychic videos from, like, there's these creators. Their names are Yadina, Freya Ray, and there's a Christian one, God bless her, Stella Rich. I don't know if they will like that I'm mentioning them, but it is what it is. That's what worked for me. So, point is, for the cult, that was really the cult. I didn't know how gnarly, low low morality, no integrity whatsoever it was. But I knew something was off. I want to say something. I was clinically diagnosed with borderline, and I want to say something because same with ADHD. And I have a feeling that we take these diagnoses as sentences, and there's a dance of, okay, what's the disability? And at the same time, what's the silver lining, the golden lining? What are you gonna do to reclaim your power? It's like an illness, an autoimmune illness, but it's on the body. This is on the mind, on the energetic body. What are you gonna do about it? Are you gonna be a victim about it? It comes down to that. So I want to say it because in the past we thought it was bipolar disorder, blah, 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 blah. Honestly, like I said, that's why I believe in spiritual warfare, and I believe that we can be tormented psychically, because I have been tormented. With my level of sensitivity, back in the day when I was doing family constellations, which I don't play there anymore, but I started realizing, oh my God, like I'm carrying demons that are from my bloodline and I'm not even mine. I'm carrying the pain of my family. And yes, it's mine, it's my cross to bear, and at the same time, it is my job to let it go. No more. It ends with us. And sometimes that's a workout, it's a marathon. It's incredible hard, but it's your cross to bear. And what's the line of what you need to work for the family and what you cannot keep handling for them because it's unfair? And maybe I don't have the answer, but maybe there's a dance of, okay, this is the work that if I do, the family gets blessed, but at the same time, what's the line of I cannot do the work for people? So, with all of this knowledge and knowledge and body experience, I was very wounded when I arrived to that cult. I'm very confused. I was living in California, went back to my abusers in Florida, and ended up in that cult. By the grace of God, I continued my practice, and I ended up in places where awareness awoken in me, and I became more mature spiritually. And somebody told me, hey, listen, red flag. And I was like, yeah, red flag. I've been ignoring it, but you're right, red flag. And when people start showing who they really are, and a level of coherence started to overtake me, and then I couldn't ignore anymore my intuition. And then I travel, and then when I travel, a healer, a Balinese high priestess from Bali, did a healing on me, and I could feel how something was being removed from me. Things, ugly things that they implanted on the cult. It's a healing technique serving humanity that I think it has purpose, and at the same time the organization just wants power and grow. It comes down to that. So it's being perpetrated. And then what I saw in that healing session, I was like, okay, I'm done. And I tell you this because no wonder people just go to Jesus and they don't want anything to do with the New Age community, because we are not talking enough about how perpetrated this has been, because people are seeking for power. I don't think no. As long as you're following the pathway and your role, what God gave you to do on this earth, that's all you need. You don't need to manipulate anybody to join your club. Because if it's meant to be, it will be. Abundance mindset. Mind you, they also play a role in the evolution of this earth. These cults play a huge role on the evolution of this earth. Just like Judas. that I don't know what you think about Judas, but some people say that he knew, like, you know, like he knew what was happening, but his heart was in the right place. And we all have roles to play. And I think in this game, in this evolution, in this spiritual war, cosmic war we're in at this time, that's what's happening. So there is something to say thank you to this cult. So I get out of that cult, and then I start dating somebody from the cult who was also already out. Turns out the cult was inside this person. I have talked about this wounded healer time and time and time again. You ask the wounded healer, I'm the bad one. I'm the one who travels across space and time, hunting him down. I'm the devil, the evil witch who's against him. I'm the one who judge him. Quote, I will confront him about his infidelities, cultish behavior. Even though he wasn't in the cult, he continued to behave like the cult, controlling people spiritually, believing he was better than anybody else, utilizing spiritual teachings and practices as needed for his will and for his needs. And when I will call that out, he will be like, no, that doesn't define me. I'm human. I make mistakes. I'm not that you're calling me to be. You're right. You're a child of the divine. But disrespect is disrespect. Infidelity is infidelity. Lack of morality is lack of morality. One thing is sexual freedom. One thing is to explore our sexualities. One thing is to practice our spirituality. And another thing is to utilize all of that to fulfill our needs with no integrity, no boundaries whatsoever. You know when you pass certain lines of lack of honesty, of disrespect. One knows, man. You know when you're living a lie. But it's me easy to confront him. Who's the one here to take responsibility? At the end of the day, me. Because I decided to go to bed with the devil. I was needy, in need of being seen. So I decided to, quote unquote, fall in love, or better to say, get obsessed with a man who will utilize his beautiful gifts to fulfill his needs. And importantly, those needs were pretty painful. Because to be the one who's fulfilling those needs, the price to pay can be so low. And I'm talking about being diminished so he could feel more powerful, so he could give you a healing, being betrayed with other women because he just cannot contain his sexual energy. I want to invite you, look for a spiritual fuckboy or a spiritual the bad reputation that some men have gained with spirituality in leadership positions. Some people are going to tell you that the ones anchoring the new earth are women. True. But may I say, in this cult that I was in, it was mostly women manipulating and degrading you and berating you and putting you down and doing ugly things on the spirit realm. So let's not only blame the men. Women can be and are as abusive, controlling, and low as the men are. A cult has all genders. And even if you leave the cult can be with you. This wounded healer claims that I put myself in a situation. Every day is very hard for me, but I'm willing to forgive and I'm willing to atone for my errors. And I know that by keeping it for myself, that won't happen. I need to speak my truth into reality. Last thing I'll say, and I say that because there's this a TikToker or like force of nature of a woman. Her name is Sophie Burns. And Sophie was like, I spoke my freedom into reality. I spoke my freedom into reality. May God bless this man, this wounded healer, but I'm going to speak up. May God bless that cult. May the sword of truth of Joan of Arc do what it needs to do, because that's not my business. My business is to do this, to claim myself, to come back to myself, to say it was messed up what happened. Yes, I made mistakes. Yes, I also got in a sticky situation. So much was a sticky situation with this cult, the wounded healer, that I took a year off. A year off from the cult. Not even the cult. The new age. All of it. I just took a year off, and then I decided I'm not gonna let this define me. I'm gonna make amends, and I'm gonna get educated. I'm currently certifying myself for facilitating as a coach. I don't know if that's gonna be the end result of this, but I'm telling you, I'm devoted to learning. To if I'm gonna give services to somebody, to give them the benefit. To give them the benefit of their own power, and to serve, because it's my soul's calling, not because I need to fulfill my wounds. If God gave me all the sensitivity, then what's the point of keeping it for myself? If God gave me this voice, and I feel God, when I allow myself to blossom by speaking, why would I keep it to myself? It's so much bigger than myself. And if that means being a coach where I just have one client and I need to be a babysitter and then kind of live under my means because nobody sees these YouTube videos or nobody buys my ebooks, then I fucking am. Fuck yes. Fuck yes. Then I fucking am. Then I'll be the happiest babysitter. The happiest, creating her weird art with her wings, being all that she came here to be, and taking trips every 2 months and 3 months because she loves to travel, and that's something that she values, and no matter her income, she will find the resources. So I will continue to do what I need to do, finishing my education, creating content, posting my services, and if nobody buys, who cares? It's what God gave me. So yes, this is for all business owners who are struggling too. Then I'll be the happiest woman alive, because I get to do what I need, what God put me on this earth to do, no matter the outcome. And then if I want to perform, I just put a camera in front of me and dance and put on my music and I pretend I'm in a concert and I post it on YouTube. Boom! Take that, Matrix. Take that. Yes, it's a haircut. I love you. Monologues with God. I'm gonna post some older ones with long hair, but this needed to come today.